has been put forward. The advantage is that it is even fresher. So, Mark and Hannes, how are you going to share?
I will come up both.
You're coming both, that's good, yes, I like double acts.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to present the ELD initiative to you. We've had already a brief chance yesterday to discuss what we're doing, why we're doing, and where we're going with, or where we want to go with ELD. Today it's both of us here because we think that, as in the ELD initiative, 1 and 1 is more than 2. So we're building a strong network under the ELD initiative and trying to use everyone's strengths as good as we can. So I'll give a quick introduction into the general background, and Hannes will focus more on the scientific work, which is the backbone of the initiative, if you want. The ELD initiative has been in place for, well, 2.5 years almost now, I think. That's more or less how, yeah, I think that's at least how long my contract has been running. So, Claudia has already pointed out that there seems, or that there must be a close linkage with the biodiversity or with the TEEP work as well. Admittedly, Hannes and I had both been working with the TEEP project beforehand, and we had discussions with key decision makers from land at that time. And then there was a decision, and we talked to, for example, the former executive secretary of UNCCD and saying, okay, we can do something on land within the TEEP framework if you want. And he said, no, we'd rather have something specifically for land here. At the first thought, this might seem somewhat, I don't know, narrow-minded or so. Thinking about it now, I think that it's actually a very wise decision there, because ELD is both a scientific or economic enterprise or endeavor. On the other hand, it's also potentially a powerful awareness-raising tool. And for awareness raising, it's very good that we focus on these specific areas there, that we focus on land, on soil as well, on related aspects as food security, as I discussed this morning with Sergio, for example, and all the other aspects which deal with livelihoods, gaining your livelihood from the land there. The overall aim is to create this global framework for measuring the economic cost of land there, and as I said, to create a greater awareness for the pressing issue of land degradation. ELD shows that it's worth investing, also as Sergio already said, in land, in sustainable land management. It pays off. And at the moment we are building these economics cases for benefits derived from sustainable land management practices, collecting and doing case studies and establishing, working out a methodology, a toolbox which we've been asked for by ourselves. And if you happen to come across ELD already, this would be very good news for us, because we try to sharpen the awareness for the issue through economic arguments there. With websites, with everything on social media, as well as with reports. Some we've put out already yesterday, they're on our website as well. And besides these reports, we develop some policies and solutions, as well as working on activities to reduce land degradation. Claudia showed this very nice slide, which with these 4 sections there, where, from my point, it becomes where land restoration was also one part there. And land restoration is put on a stronger base, we think, if there's an economic valuation behind this. If you have a before-after scenario, for example, there, this can be compelling for decision makers to go forward and say, okay, we will invest in land restoration. And for example, the German government is thinking about establishing this land restoration facility at the moment. So we meaning GIZ, because GIZ is hosting the secretariat, has been asked to set up the process for establishing this. It's an inclusive partnership. This is why we're both here, and it asks for scientists from different disciplines, economists, as well as experts from the world of business. We're talking to the big businesses as well as to the small landholder organizations as well. Actually, last week we had a workshop on with the private sector, and there's always this difficult thin red line which we are trying not to cross there, discussing and understanding where the large players in the agribusiness, for example, go and want to go without immediately going to bed with them, if you want. So, we're engaging in cooperations with research institutions, NGOs, businesses, finance institutions, and so on, because we think they are the major players and stakeholders in here, so they have to be involved in the processes. Overall, you see the ELD Secretariat here in the middle. We have two main pillars. One is the policy partnership, or the for decision makers, including the private sector. Here we have ministries, we're talking to development banks. And on the other hand, there's the science partnership pillar with three main working groups headed by senior experts, senior economists as well, and with the scientific coordination above that. This is being provided by United Nations University in Toronto, because again, this network idea comes in and we get expertise from partner organizations from all over the world. Maybe with a stronger focus on the scientific process, and not to keep you from the coffee too long, I'll hand over to Hans.
Thanks. So, the question is, and that's the whole topic of the conference here, I think, is how we can mainstream our scientific processes into policy. And I think the ELD case is quite a good example on, or from our perspective at least, quite a good process as well, as how to do that. And we started by compiling a scientific interim report, which is nicely depicted here as a small icon. There we have mostly joined with different international scientific partners from our network, coordinated by the United Nations University in Toronto, and have looked on previous work which has been done on economic valuation cases, focusing specifically on land. Based on that, we have piled up a lot of case studies and a lot of, more or less an index of current publications which are there, which we have also put in our nice interim report. And then we looked into what has been done and what actually has not been done. So we did a small gap analysis, which now is finalized and gives key stakeholders who want to get involved as well an idea about which areas are still to be more or less processed on. We've finalized this gap analysis and formulated it, and based on that we also commissioned this a range of currently six case studies which we commission and co-commission, which are looking on different aspects of land degradation and how to implement the economic perspective there. Those case studies are also leading into our work, and the information they are also contributing again to our process. So basically, what are we going to do then with the different insights which we get from the case studies and the previous work? Our aim is to use 2015 and the momentum the international soil and land initiatives will get in the 2015 Year of Soil Agenda, and also in the new formulation. We heard that before as well, thanks to that, for the SDG formulation. We are trying to implement also the economic case there. Now the question is, and this is how we fit also in the topic of science policy interface, what's the process of us and how are we trying to do that? This is rather looking first sight complicated thing, but it's actually not that complicated. So what we're doing, we're compiling output reports, which is on the left here on my side, you're right. Focusing on three different target groups. First of all, it's private sector, business case is always important. Then we're looking in the scientific communities and how we can actually mainstream the economic valuation perspective into the scientific communities, and how to raise the awareness there that we have to conduct more research here as well. And of course, the last thing, the decision makers aiming in the political realm. What is going to feed in there? We have, as Mark mentioned before, 3 different working groups. focusing on data and methodology, pathways for policy outreach, and then the third one is looking onto economic evaluation and options. Each of those three themes is going to be formulated. We were talking about language yesterday. Each of those three working groups is going to formulate its own language according to the specific target group and implement their own insights into reports which are looking, for example, telling what data and methodology would be interesting for the private sector, what kind of toolkits are interesting for scientific communities, or, for example, what economic evaluation options should be implemented into political processes or the decision makers. Of course, this was going to be synthesized as well, because it's nice to have three different reports, but it's always nice to have a fourth one which always sums it up. And then we are coming to the awareness raising. And for that we have we are setting up an advisory group which is being placed with different international and renominated persons which are in the position of raising the ELD case with the tools, meaning the reports which we gave them, and then bring the whole thing to an international level and implement it to the international agendas. As we are saying, we're a network. And in network, we were following here the statement, the more the merrier. We're always happy about new people joining us. Because we always need more partners and more anything. So our partners, the role of our partners in our network is, of course, they provide data and scientific information. I think that is where Deborah is also coming into play. You have a tremendous stack of information piled up during the process of your research project, and we're more than happy to somehow integrate that in our work, in all those insights, informations which you have, for example, on policy things. It's all kind of interesting, and we're more than happy to get in direct contact with you. Based on that, we would also like to develop tools with our key partners, because we are following a participatory approach here as well. We don't want to develop things for which we can put in a report and store away, but it's more important to gear our tools towards the specific desires of, be it you as a scientific community or be it the private sector. So we're also engaging here. Communicating ELD key results and the key messages. I think our partners here in the room from UNCCD and also the European Commission did a tremendous job before in communicating us in their presentation, and that is exactly what we're also liking our partners to do. Of course, facilitate access to international policy negotiations. There's no need of working if we don't have access to international policies. So we have to get our channels here as well. In-kind contributions. I guess we're all happy about in-kind contributions. But this is not only funding, of course, but this is also manpower. If you say, this is a really nice project and I would like to contribute and increase my visibility in relation to ELD as well, this is more than welcome. And of course, our funding partners have a good option of deciding on our cost, because they can force in strategic decisions and guidance as well. So often the question is, what do our partners get from us? And first of all, we can give you visibility, and we also can give you, and I think that's really important for you as a scientific community, it's networking, which is basically the key of ELD here in the process. We have a wide network of different scientific communities, be it the United Nations University community, be it the Center of Development from Bonn, Stockholm Environmental Institute, all those different key stakeholders, be it from the scientific communities, are actively engaged. And the more we can bring in here, the more we can link it up and make it more efficient. So I guess anybody who would like to come to our initiative, these are our partners, is more than welcome to join us. We have our website, which gives you a tremendous idea, and which we haven't put in here, but it's also really interesting, I guess, for some of you. We have a MOOC, which is our currently rolling out online learning course, which gives you a more and a better scientific insight about what different evaluation tools are there. You can find this information on the e-learning course, which is free to join on our website as well. So thank you a lot.